Let us meet Kyle. He has just woken up once again at exactly 7 in the morning, right after slamming his tired hand onto his third loud alarm clock. You must deeply understand that Kyle is absolutely not a lazy person at all. He consistently works for 8 full hours every single day. He dutifully takes all of his daily vitamins, and he even actively subscribes to 5 different self-improvement channels on the internet. But if you were to ask Kyle to explain exactly what has actually changed in his personal life over the course of the entire past year, he might only be able to show you a brand new color for his mobile phone case. The tragic reality is that Kyle is completely standing still in his life, even though he physically feels like he is constantly running forward as absolutely fast as he possibly can. Popular social media gurus will loudly tell him that he just needs to forcefully wake up at 5 in the morning, or they will arrogantly claim that he simply lacks the proper internal motivation to succeed. You must clearly realize that this incredibly common piece of internet advice is absolutely total and complete nonsense. In reality, Kyle is currently a tragic victim of a deep psychological behavioral trap, where his own brain works exactly like a highly cautious accountant, who constantly minimizes all daily risks while simultaneously burning absolutely every single real chance for massive life capitalization. Today we are going to carefully break down exactly why your incredibly hard daily work is actually the absolute most expensive form of total personal inaction that you can possibly choose. You see, the main fundamental problem that Kyle faces is definitely not that he physically does far too little work, but rather it is entirely about exactly how poorly he chooses to spend his highly limited daily cognitive resources. In the complex and ruthless world of modern economics, there is a very specific and highly important fundamental concept that professionals simply call the opportunity cost. While Kyle simply sits around and carefully chooses exactly which television series to watch in the evening just to completely switch off his tired mind, he is actively and continuously paying a massive invisible tax. His deep subconscious brain has actively chosen entirely low-level and highly predictable stability over engaging with any form of incredibly profitable but highly frightening high-level volatility. You must constantly realize that for our deeply ancient inner caveman, choosing to simply stand entirely still in the dark shadows directly means successfully avoiding being brutally eaten alive by a hungry lion. The cold truth is that Kyle is absolutely not genuinely afraid of facing a massive professional failure, but rather he is deeply terrified of entirely losing the very tiny bit of safe predictability that he currently possesses. We're going to clearly explain to Kyle that his extremely cozy current comfort is actually a terrible financial loan with a brutal 300% annual interest rate that he is blindly taking directly from his own tired future self. Kyle absolutely loves to spend his valuable daily time making incredibly detailed and highly complex personal plans for his bright future. He constantly maintains endless daily to-do lists, carefully downloads various modern software productivity applications, and takes immense pride in his perfectly organized digital workspace setup on his computer. However, you must clearly realize that engaging in this exact type of endless deep organization is actually the absolute ultimate psychological deception. Professional behavioral economists formally refer to this very specific and highly dangerous mental trap as active procrastination. You continuously do various small things that convincingly look exactly like real work, and they certainly feel just like hard work, but they ultimately have absolutely zero actual positive impact on your growing personal bank account or your elevated professional status. Kyle has spent an agonizing 3 entire years carefully preparing himself to finally make a massive leap of faith, yet he has absolutely never actually lifted his feet off the solid ground to take the jump. He obsessively collects endless amounts of theoretical knowledge, exactly like an old man hoarding rare vintage postage stamps, instead of ever actually converting any of that brilliant information into physical real-world action. We are going to clearly demonstrate exactly how this massive excess of constant daily preparation is actually just a heavy psychological defense mechanism built to perfectly protect him against the harsh real world, where every single mistake carries a very painful financial price. While Kyle naively believes that he is simply scrolling through his colorful social media feed to find some quick creative inspiration, He is actually just being actively harvested as cheap raw material by massive corporate algorithms. Modern behavioral economics clearly warns us that human attention has rapidly become the absolute most valuable and highly sought-after new oil in today's digital economy. Kyle completely wastes 3 full hours every single day, mindlessly watching other ambitious individuals massively succeed online, while his deeply addicted brain simply absorbs a continuous, numbing stream of incredibly cheap digital dopamine. He genuinely and foolishly feels exactly as if he is actually achieving something incredibly profound and highly important simply by passively sitting around and watching hundreds of intense online business videos. You must deeply understand that this incredibly comfortable feeling is nothing more than a highly dangerous, perfectly manufactured optical illusion of absolute fake professional progress. Massive corporate algorithms are specifically and ruthlessly trained to constantly trap Kyle directly in the highly profitable state of an eternal student, simply because a perpetual student is the absolute perfect, highly predictable consumer of endless content and targeted advertisements. Kyle completely fails to even notice that he constantly spends his hard-earned money to blindly buy highly expensive online courses that he absolutely never finishes, and heavy physical books that he definitely never bothers to actually read. He actively chooses to invest his limited money into the massive industry of personal success instead of ever actually investing in his own real and tangible product. Kyle stubbornly holds on to a corporate job that he absolutely hates, simply because he has already spent 5 long years working there. Within the ruthless world of high finance, this specific and highly dangerous mental trap is formally known as the sunk cost fallacy. Kyle constantly thinks to himself that he simply cannot leave his current position now because he has already invested so much of his valuable time and intense effort. But you must deeply understand that real economics is entirely ruthless, and whatever amount of time or money you spent yesterday no longer matters to your current reality at all. You must realize that all that truly matters right now is exactly what you will get out of your life tomorrow. Kyle is deeply afraid to ever start his professional life over from scratch, not realizing that he is actually already in the red. Every single day that he spends working at a job he truly hates is a massive lost opportunity to build something entirely of his own. We will show Kyle that his past experience in a system that does not value him at all is absolutely not an asset, but rather it is a heavy ballast dragging him straight to the bottom. Kyle constantly and painfully compares his own messy backstage chaos with the perfect and highly polished facade of everyone else on Instagram. Engaging in this constant and unfair comparison is quite literally nothing less than absolute psychological suicide for any person to ever commit against themselves. Kyle feels like a complete and utter loser simply because he does not already own his own luxury private jet at the young age of only 25 years old. We are going to carefully and thoroughly explain to Kyle the highly important and very deep concept of social arbitrage. Most of the seemingly successful people that he looks up to every single day are actually living on massive amounts of credit, or they are simply professional liars who create a fake reality for others to see. Kyle is desperately trying to win a very complex and competitive social game that does not actually even exist in the real world. Instead of focusing his daily energy on building his own strong and solid foundation, he is foolishly trying to decorate the massive and expensive skyscraper belonging to someone else. It is finally time to stop looking up at those fake and glowing digital stars and start looking down at the real and honest numbers of your very own personal balance sheet. Kyle mistakenly believes that his childhood friends are actually a strong support system, simply because they have known each other since school and frequently go to bars together to complain about their difficult lives. But you absolutely must look much closer at these specific social dynamics because they are definitely not what they seem to be on the simple surface. This is a perfect example of the classic and destructive crab mentality, where as soon as one person tries to bravely climb out of the bucket, the others quickly grab his claws and pull him back down into the crowd. Your surrounding environment is subconsciously interested in you standing entirely still, simply because your personal success acts like a bright mirror, reflecting their own complete lack of action. Professional behavioral psychology clearly states that we are essentially the mathematical average of the 5 specific people that we choose to spend the absolute most time with. If Kyle truly wants to become a millionaire but his current friends only ever discuss cheap beer discounts, then he clearly has a massive and fatal system error hidden deep within his personal code. We are going to carefully teach Kyle the powerful method of social disinfection, which explains how to effectively change his social circle without burning any bridges, but also without letting them drag him down ever again. Kyle is deeply afraid to take any real risks in his life, as he incorrectly thinks a stable corporate job is safe while starting his own project is incredibly dangerous. Pure mathematics clearly states something entirely different about your current situation. At a standard professional job, your total profit is strictly limited by a legal contract, and the constant risk of being suddenly fired from that job does not actually depend on your own personal actions at all. This is fundamentally a dangerous game with entirely negative expectations for your long-term financial future. We are now going to show Kyle the incredible and life-changing power of risk asymmetry. Real success happens exactly where the total risk is strictly limited, such as losing only your evening time, while the potential profit is absolutely infinite. Kyle must immediately stop playing small games where the only possible positive outcome is simply that he does not lose. It is finally time for him to start playing massive games where he can actually win big. This is a profound and necessary shift from a restrictive scarcity mindset to a powerful abundance mindset. Just take a good look at the transformed Kyle standing here right now. Kyle has finally taken the bold step of deleting every single one of those distracting and useless applications that used to eat away at his precious time every single day. He completely stopped planning forever for the absolute perfect moment to arrive, and instead he bravely took his very first messy and real action toward achieving his goals. He finally realized that chasing impossible perfection is actually the absolute greatest enemy of making any real and tangible professional progress. Kyle is no longer pathetically waiting around for someone else to finally give him the official permission to be highly successful in his own right. He clearly realized that choosing to simply stand entirely still is actually the absolute fastest way to slowly degrade in a modern world that is constantly flying forward at an incredible speed. Kyle is now focusing his limited energy on learning high-value skills that robots and algorithms can never replace, while also putting his money into growing assets that generate income for him even while he is fast asleep. His eyes now glow with a brilliant light of true understanding, because he finally sees the deep, hidden mechanics of how capital actually works in the real world, instead of just reading empty motivational quotes on his phone. This transformation was an incredibly long and difficult journey for Kyle to finish, and now that exact same challenging journey is waiting for you to begin it yourself. You are currently still standing entirely still in your life, not because you are a bad person or a failure, but simply because you are still playing the game of life by a very old and completely outdated script. The modern world around you has changed fundamentally in every single way, but your own internal settings and beliefs have unfortunately remained exactly the same as they were before. We have officially given you the complete and highly detailed map to help you find your very own personal path to massive success. We have also clearly shown you every single one of the dangerous psychological traps that were previously holding you back from reaching your true potential. Kyle has already bravely taken his very first real step forward, and he has already closed this video to go and actually do the real work that truly matters. Now the ultimate question remains for you to answer exactly what you will choose to do with your life right now. Will you choose to stay stuck in the online comments sections and discuss endlessly why all of this is impossible? Or will you finally decide to become the absolute main character of your very own personal economy? Make sure you actively subscribe right now if you are truly ready to finally hear the absolute hard truth that will eventually make you incredibly rich. This specific type of brutal honesty is exactly what is required to build a massive and highly successful financial future for yourself. You must choose to embrace these difficult lessons so that you can finally start accumulating real wealth and total personal independence. We truly hope that you have learned something incredibly valuable today, and we will certainly see you again very soon. Prepare yourself, because we will be waiting for you right here in the very next episode.